is on in Cameroon, and of course here on the press box we shall be getting you all the details from the 2022 Africa Cup of Nations. Plus on the show as well we come back to Uganda and discuss those chaotic events down in Arua. The federation has come up with a big statement, that is FUFA, suggesting there will be a couple of bans and a couple of suspensions and a couple of fines between officials and players at KCCA and those at Onduparaka. On the show tonight, we shall be discussing that, and not just discussing it, we're also joined by two of the most powerful ladies in Ugandan football. Anisha Mohozi, who is the CEO at KCCA Football Club, will be joining us here in studio tonight, and Masi Manduru, who is the marketing, communications and PR head down at Onduparaka, to discuss the controversy after that game in the Uganda Premier League between KCCA and Onduparaka. Manchester United are in the second half right now, playing up against Wolves. We shall give you an update on that, plus of course all the biggest headlines from the Premier League. My name is Andrew Kabura, and once again I welcome you to a fresh year. The panel is here. It's a huge panel. They're all looking fresh from the holidays. I'll start with the man at the very extreme, Andrew Mwangusha, columnist with the Daily Monitor. Good evening, welcome to the press box, and Happy New Year.
Good evening, Happy New Year. You're fiery.
Yeah. I've not been here for a while, man.
Is that what Adis does?
No.
Okay.
It's a different story, but we shall come to that. Right next to him is a veteran journalist, a man who is into making sure sport is administered right as well at the moment. Played the game, and now he's making sure the youngsters come through to make sure Uganda has a conveyor belt that is working. Max Ali, good evening, and as always, welcome to the show. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you too, Andrew.
Had good holidays?
Very, very good holidays. Yeah, the only thing that missed out was fireworks.
Oh.
Everything else was there.
Everything else was there.
Absolutely.
Everything else is a bit too wide, but let's stick it to the facts. Right next to me is the head of sport, NMG, Mr. Ismail Dakawa Chigongo, as always looking dapper. Good evening, and Happy New Year as well.
Good evening, Andrew, and welcome back. Good evening, the viewers. Glad to be back on the show. Another week.
I've not been here for a while.
We should actually apologize for last Monday, haven't we?
Now, we did communicate. Yeah, we did communicate.
Some people are still angry.
Really? No, we took off last Monday, guys, to make sure we celebrate the festivities with our families as well. And thank you very much for joining us once again for tonight's show. Now, as we welcome you to the year 2022, how beautiful was 2021 here on the press box? Take a look. From the Kampala Serena Hotel,
Max Verstappen, for the first time ever,
the Viper struck again.
In the end,
Bobos Vyaruhanga won the award ahead of Eric Kambale.
I know of one person on this panel here who voted more than 4 times.
Polish for 3.
I'm hoping you're doing this interview in your room.
I am actually doing it at the lobby right now.
We can get a better picture of the Silverbacks with more players from the league.
Our hotel bill was cleared by General Mohozi Kainerugaba.
But this money should be money from the taxpayers.
Okay. Call him Kapi.
Doc, I didn't think you were going to say that on air.
I don't see the difference between your presentation and presentation I had in South Africa or in Egypt.
You know,
I mean, how don't you love that guy?
And it's been saved.
is Manchester divided?
Now, NTV press box is trending #1, Kabura at #2.
Yeah, I can ask the producer to switch your microphones off.
All right.
Yeah. I'm trying to make sure we're all in this, guys. Don't leave me there out alone.
FUFA is doing, whether you're a first timer, they give you all 2 or 3 at the same time.
Please, if you don't want to pay this fine, don't do it. Many of these things impact players psychologically.
How? You are telling us we don't pay players. What Musanya Banja Federation? They went there and played shitty football.
No, listen, a name like Kabura Mwangusha is Ugandan, but Onyango is from Kisumu.
Seeing we are getting very, very good players being scouted and spotted by different clubs abroad.
You beat Brazil in the final. Yes.
My problem with Segona is that actually, even in university, I've never seen him putting on a shot.
If you lose to Kenya in cricket, then you lose to Kenya in football, and you lose to Kenya as well.
I emerged the champion. I took the lead day 2, and I said I have not led before.
In the short, Ndaula, I think you need to learn a thing or two about television. The hashtag is NTV Press Box. The panel is already in the building. Well, there you go. What a fantastic 2021 it was. Because of time, we just picked a few clips of those. Mark, I'll start off with you. You look at some of those clips and you realize the press box is the biggest show in the region.
Yeah, absolutely. It is interesting. I'm actually, I only appear in those clips once.
Yeah.
And I don't even know which country I was in. Where was I when that one?
You were in Oxford.
That particular one. That one was a UK thing? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
but that's when
just,
the press box had its biggest topic, and you're out of town. We had our biggest show viewership that week, and you're out of town.
You're out of town.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, but you look at those clips.
People love to see guys are from abroad, yeah.
Yeah, Mark, you look at those clips and you see how different headlines came in thick and fast. Yes, we are living through a pandemic, which we've had to catch up with, but you realize how Ugandan sport was quite busy last year as well. We must do better this year.
Absolutely. And this year, it's tough to beat 2021 because 2021 took everything from 2020. Yeah. There are several tournaments in 2021 which were still called 2020 because they were carrying over. And you'd think that it's tough to beat that act. But actually, 2022 is going to beat that act. Yeah. It's what we have lined up for the next 365 days. It's crazy. I mean, the viewers out there, they just better tell their friends this is the place to be because the stuff we have to talk about. Yeah. It's just, I mean, you're lost for choice.
It's huge. Mangusha, you look at that clip. Just to take you back to last year. Do you have a favorite guest or a favorite controversial topic? You seem to love those.
Dennis Mbide. The man I'd never seen Segona even put on a shot. But of course, there are many. I mean, you look at Mitchell, you look at the FIFA president, and then you have the football president. Speaking to us from a lobby because apparently they were facing eviction from a hotel in Kigali. So you look at them.
No,
you were there. That's what you communicated at least.
No. He was in the lobby because that's where there was proper internet connection. It had nothing to do with evictions. No, seriously. Seriously. But
it's an old debate.
The clip is all subject to debate.
The clip missed a few things.
Sometimes telling the story does not exonerate, does not bring out the truth. It's about telling the
story. I'm sure he didn't even say that on air.
No, he didn't have to say it.
No, because it wasn't true. He
didn't have to say it.
Okay, guys, let's
but anyway, the one I loved the most, one of the ones I loved the most, but it didn't make this clip, was despite all the controversial ones and the nice ones, Magogo is a good one because he's a very good orator and he says things. The one I loved the most though was Enoch Walusimbi's, the Express captain. And I don't think we're here. We're on a different set. We're upstairs. The reason I love that is he represents the modern Ugandan footballer in so many different ways. First of all, of course, they carried trophies into the studio, and which is a beautiful thing. And of course, for me, there's a bias because Express had won Sekafa and also the league. But his eloquence, his dress code, his everything represented a totally different footballer from the one
we've seen.
From the one I was used to from back in the day. And it was very difficult to have the kind of interview that we have on Pressbox. It was very difficult to have with the one from 25 years ago. This one is a totally different footballer, and I love that.
This is going to be beautiful. Last year I saw you go to cover the Olympics. I'm sure that was one of your highlights from last year. True. But was that your biggest story from last year as well?
It's got to be because of Joshua Cheptegei. I wasn't there when he was winning, but it was that huge. One of my friends, Patrick Kanyomos, with whom I've lived a large part of my 30 years, of the past 30 years, has actually told me he's never seen me that happy. Oh, really? Because the manner in which I jumped when Cheptegei won that goal. Because I'd care to convince everyone over the past 2 years or 3 that we have the best long distance runner in Uganda. And actually went to one of my editors, Tabo Wutagira, and was telling him there are not so many things in the world where Uganda is #1, but Cheptegei is. And I felt like that for him. So when he won, I actually lost my voice that Friday afternoon. I went to do my morning radio show on KFM and I could barely speak because I was that happy. And to this day I feel that happy. But I think in regard to the press box, Mark was talking about the thing about the dress codes. While you're not here, we hosted the day we had that changeover, we had the boxing guys and then the rugby guys. The contrast of the dress codes, These guys walking like Mayweather with all this color, and then rugby walking so calm with all the
All right, we don't know what your headline was from 2021, but I'm sure you've been watching the press box, which we thank you for. Use the hashtag NTV press box to tell us who your favorite guest from last year was, and also which your favorite debate was. I'm sure I'll be reading as many as we can later on in the show. Now, this year we are starting with different segments as well. The first segment will be Remember the Star. Just before we jump into what is happening down in Cameroon, let's show you a picture of a youngster, and all you have to do is go down to our official Twitter handle, that is at NTV Pressbox. The hashtag is NTV Pressbox, and tell us who you think it is. We're also posting it on our social media, and we should be having that picture right now. There's only one clue I'm going to give you for this very one, and the clue is he plays in Germany. All right? He plays in Germany. We are going to show you that picture in a few minutes, and then it will also be posted on our social media. Go in there and send us your side of the story as we prepare to jump into the African Cup of Nations. So there you go. There is the guy. He plays in Germany, played in America as well. We shall get you all those details as they come your way. But who do you think this is? Guys, can you guess? It's tricky hard, hey?
He's very arrogant.
Yeah, of course, we're not going to be telling them so.
No.
He looks arrogant, so he must be very arrogant on the pitch.
Yeah,
okay.
The good thing is what you have to let the viewers know that we all in the panel will also be seeing it for the very first time.
Exactly.
Every time it comes, because I haven't seen this before.
I have to be honest.
I have to figure it out now.
I have seen it before.
I think I've already figured it out, but
you won't tell us.
No.
Yeah, and just to make it more wide, both please consider both North and South America. Hey, just to give you a bigger version of the picture.
But when did companies produce orange Spider-Man shirts? They're supposed to be red. They're supposed to be red.
I tell you, in Europe they had different options. You the Africans, you just got your copies late. All right, as we get to know what your reactions are later on in the show, let's quickly jump into Africa's biggest soccer extravaganza. The 24 best footballing nations on the African continent are, as I speak, descending onto the West African nation of Cameroon, who, by the way, have a new federation president. And I'll start off with that. Andrew Mwangusha, just before we talk about the AFCON itself, Samuel Eto'o is the boss of Cameroonian football. If we talk about conveyor belts, if we talk about people who have played the game and understand how it should work, Cameroon is going the right direction, aren't they?
And he has started strong by dismissing some of those he considers lazy at the FA in Cameroon. So literally he's trying to impart at least the discipline, the professional discipline from his playing days into the office. Of course, we have to wait and see how far that goes. And for me, it couldn't have come at a better time when his home nation is hosting the Nations Cup, and he is the head. So this is his time to try to at least show leadership. I mean, he showed leadership on the pitch. We all know what he is. We all know what he means for Cameroon and African football. Now it's time. Everyone is happy, but remember, always we have to look at, is he going to do what he did as a player? As an administrator now, because that's the challenge. So we have to just wait and see, but we wish him all the best.
Let's wait and see. Every normal football fan right now is battling with debate, out of which of these teams in these different groups will be winning the Africa Cup of Nations. 24 teams. There you go. Quickly head down to our official handle. The hashtag is NTV Pressbox. Who are your top 3 favorites? Top 3 favorites to win the Africa Cup of Nations in 2022. And we shall be discussing that shortly. But Mark, the AFCON has not come with freedom. There's been a bit of drama behind it, and some football fans have brought racism into it. Others have, brought disrespect into this. Some are saying, some coaches who have said things about the Africa Cup of Nations, including FIFA, are so disrespectful of Africa's World Cup. This is something that I'm very sure has not tickled you the right way.
No, it hasn't. The truth of the matter is that we know there have always been reservations from the people in Europe, and I'm using a very nice word here, if you notice, about the tournament because of the time that it is played. It's in the bang in the middle of the European season, which is different from the other major tournaments that are played in the summer. So they will always have issues about that, and because it's Africa and they have their inherent inbred racism and all, it was always going to be resentment of a certain nature and then outright hostility in some cases. There were always going to be 1 or 2 characters who couldn't help themselves and would let it spill. But I know that we all know that behind the scenes there's so many people in Europe that are like, this thing. And it has affected the destinations of some of our African stars as far as the big teams are concerned. And yes, there are some big teams that will have reservations about signing these guys because of losing them at the wrong time. But having said that, we also have got to give props to the fact that there's so many. While there's a percentage of Europeans that have resentment towards our tournament, because they have inherent inbred racism, or because they just have genuine issues with its timing, there are those who actually want to respect it. There are those who actually have remained respectful of African players, regardless, and have continued to sign them and give them contracts. So those two have got to be given their props, which is why one of the biggest figures at the center of this controversy is somebody I feel for. Ideally, usually, and Andrew knows that, ideally I react really badly to when Caucasian people say bad things about Africans. And I mean, it just rubs me the wrong way. I don't care usually what it is. But Jurgen Klopp is somebody I'd have loved to cut some slack, only because he actually has gone ahead and signed these players regardless. And it's not as if he didn't know about the Africa Cup of Nations when never mind Salah and Mane, because I think one of them was not even signed by him. But were they both signed by him?
Both were signed by him.
Okay. But then he still went ahead and got Naby Keita and a few others, and continues to. I mean, Joe Matip and whoever. So I'd have loved to cut him some slack. I thought there was something lost in translation. When he said what he said.
I want to bring Dakaba into this first of all. You look at the quality of African players in these European leagues, and you can stretch it back to the Babayaros, take it back to the Boas, bring it to the Mokachis, then come to the Drogbas, the current generation, to Salah, to Mane. You look at those names. Yes, George Weah. Africa needs some respect. I don't even expect this to be a debate. Playing for your national side. The fact that it's coming up today raises questions on, and I dare say it, racism.
Mark has hinted on almost everything I would have said, but you've got to say, like Mark cited, there are inherent reservations for a tournament that happens at the time when you're stepping on the gas to try to win a league title, to get your players ready for the Champions League knockout stages. And the things that people say about European coaches not wanting to sign African players, actually, the first player I remember raising that was Yaya Toure in his time at Man City, because Man City really tried to ensure that he went late to the Nations Cup. If you go further back, maybe 20 years, we all know that under Arsene Wenger, the African players that he had always reported late to the national team and was always fighting the Nigerian Federation because Nwankwo Kanu would always arrive at the Nations Cup 2 or 3 days to the start of the tournament, and Nigerians thought that wasn't right. And maybe at that time, unlike this generation where the coach of one of the top African teams is Aliou Cisse, Senegalese. At the time, Nigeria were coached by Batty Votes and all these guys who had no respect for what Wenger was saying or doing, so they could go after him back then. But I think some of these reservations are well intended. There's always been a debate, and I know it even happens among his fans. Why can't an African Cup of Nations happen between June and July when the season is off? Of course, the reason CAF have always given is the issue to do with the weather. And we all know they've tried to have a Nations Cup in June, July. I don't know how that turned out. We all know how the stadium looks so bad in the rain. When CAF actually initially argued for that, maybe 18 years ago, that they cannot have a Nations Cup in the European summer because of the rain, I used to think maybe they are not right until they had one. And then I saw how bad the conditions were, and I'm thinking maybe CAF are right on this one. But the debate is going to continue. I don't want us to come into every tournament where we're going to debate the same thing. Probably we're talking to people who are not there to watch El Hadji Diouf right now, who are watching this show. And then now they're supposed to relate with Sadio Mane, to tell them that when Diouf was playing, it was the same debate as it is now. So what's changed?
I mean, I fully understand when coaches come up and don't want to release players. Because, I mean, look at Liverpool. Sadio Mane was on fire just against Chelsea the other day. Mohamed Salah is probably the best player in the world at the moment, in my personal view. So when you release both, you're in trouble. But Mwangusha, your quick comment just before we jump into a couple of top names that actually have talked about this topic.
Of course, they've talked about everything. There's one thing where African federations also have to get stick. There's Emmanuel Davis, the Watford striker. They were supposed to have submitted names, provisional names at least, that deadline. Nigeria failed to beat it. Now, when they wanted to add him later, Watford said, hey, you missed this deadline, so we cannot. Now, the clubs, because they are looking for their own interests, are looking for loopholes, which you could say tactfully exploit. And that's where we also questions have to come back to us. So how prepared are you? And then you have Sar. Sar, still Watford.
Ismail Sarr.
Yeah,
namesake.
He's been injured since November. Of course, they provided tests and all. And they've gone ahead to ask, actually, the Nigerian Federation, rather Senegalese Federation, to send their own surgeons to confirm the MRIs and all. So they're trying to use their best, but also we need to prepare more as Africans and make sure we at least do your part. Then we can fit out the rest.
All right, from big names like Jurgen Klopp to Patrick Vieira, you can drop in Cisse, the Senegalese coach as well, and a couple of other big names in world football. They have had a thing or two to say about the Africa Cup of Nations. Take a listen.
But in January, there's a little tournament in Africa. There's a little tournament in Africa. There's a little tournament in Africa.
It was not even close, and not even my idea in my mind that I want to talk about AFCON as a little tournament or about the continent of Africa like a little continent. Not at all.
There's no greater honor, none, as a sports person, than representing your country. The coverage is completely tinged with racism, completely tinged. We played our Euros across 10 countries in the middle of a pandemic, and there's no issue at all. But Cameroon, a single country hosting a tournament, is a problem. You're getting journalists asking players, players getting asked if they will be honouring the call-ups for their national teams, if they will be honouring.
Oh, there you go. Some of that is disheartening, to be fair, but there you go. That is just part of the passion that comes with football. The AFCON will be on, kicking off on the 9th in Cameroon, and shortly we shall be jumping into those groups. But just to quickly remind you, have you answered that big question online? Do you remember the star? Hashtag is NTV Pressbox. It's been posted on our official handle, that is at NTV Pressbox. If you do remember the star, give us the answer and we shall see if you're right. And definitely the big poll tonight, who are your 3 favorite African nations to win the Africa Cup of Nations in 2022? I don't know. I think there are so many big sides with so many superstars that actually could be crowned the African kings this time around. Guys, let's quickly jump into Group A. That is where I'm very excited, partly because I'm from Ethiopia at the moment. But the Warriors are in there with Burkina Faso, who they lost to 4-0 in the 2013 AFCON down in South Africa. There's Burkina Faso in there, just like I said. There's the Indomitable Lions of Cameroon themselves and the Cape Verde Islands, who are a very tricky African nation. I think let me start with you, Ismail. Group of death?
No, there is no death. There is a lot of life. There's a lot of life in this group because while the Cameroonians will be fancying themselves, they haven't won the Africa Cup in a very long time.
Yeah.
Despite being...
Actually, they won Gabon.
Yeah.
In Gabon.
2017.
2017.
Yeah. 2017, yeah. The one of Christian Bassagog.
Yes.
But that was the first in a very long time. Yeah. And Cameroon may feel a divine right to win, even if you can question that the quality of the sides, that, as we knew them, has gone on significantly. Playing at home is a very, very important thing that Cameroon will take in the tournament. To imagine that their biggest star today could be Vincent Abubakar. He always performs well for Cameroon. Forget the fact that he plays at Porto and has struggled over the past few years because of injury. If they get the ball into the forward areas, at least you know they have Ekambi, the one who plays at Lyon. Some people remember him for missing all those chances. Lyon were knocked out of the Champions League 2 seasons ago. The one that was finished in a bubble in Lisbon. They also have Eric Maxim Choupo-Moting. While he's a bench player and has been support for the latter life of his career at PSG and Bayern Munich, whenever he's coming for Cameroon, I think he's delivered the goods. Yep. So Cameroon should be very, very confident that they'll make it out of this group, which for me is a group of life. That after the Cameroonians, maybe as hosts, do what is sufficient for them to get the next round. All the other 3 teams will be feeling confident of joining them there.
Okay. Well, I tell you what, it all kicks off with that West African derby. It's a huge clash. Big Cameroon playing at home in front of Samuel Eto'o and their home crowd up against Burkina Faso. Mark, I come to you. Burkina Faso Cape Verde, Ethiopia, 3 teams probably battling for that one remaining slot in there. That will be tight.
It will be very, very tight because each one of them can win that.
Yeah.
And so it will be interesting to see which one goes through. Just quickly, if you allow me 1 minute, just to run you through the history of hosts so you can understand. When he was talking about that, it reminded me. One of the reasons I'd like for Cameroon to do well is because of this tournament is an endangered species. We just talked about how it's being attacked from Europe and all. And money talks a lot these days, so much so that Europe can actually kill this tournament. And Africa has struggled to get hosts for this tournament over the last few editions, as you know. So I'm desperate for hosts to do well under those circumstances.
And they don't often do well in the AFCON.
Yeah, but I'll tell you, 65-year history of the AFCON, 7 hosts have won it. Egypt 3 times. 59, 86, 2006. 2006 I was even there. MTN sent me over there, so I was there. Then you know, say Ghana twice. 63, 78 when they beat us in the final, when they beat Uganda. You know. Then we have these about 5 teams that have won it once at home.
He's Ethiopia.
Yeah, Ethiopia 62. That was the year we got independence. They won it. South Africa 1996. Dr. Kumalo and John Shoes Moshoi, Mark Williams and Lucas Radebe. You remember Arense? Those guys. Mandela's time when he had just come out and all. You remember that South Africa?
Euphoria.
Tunisia 2004.
That was great.
You remember that one? Tunisia 2004. Nigeria.
That's the one that sold Shamak to us, no?
Yeah. Nigeria 1980.
Much later.
1980. Nigeria won it in 1980, and you know this is one of the African giants that have won it only a few times. So 1980 stands out because of the way they won it. And then I remember one of my very first AFCONs. It was my second live one proper, but 1990 Algeria, when Jamal Menad scored that that goal against Nigeria in the final, the Rabah Maja tournament when he was coming from Porto, European champion, first African to win the Champions League. That one is one of those as well. So I think basically I've mentioned all the 7, but they don't usually win it. At that time it was a huge deal when those countries won it. Now it is even a bigger deal because we don't want to get to a point where we are thinking that we have an enemy in Europe, that we are fighting for the tournament. But get to a point where we ourselves cannot host it because there's no incentive for it.
Qatar wants to host.
See what I mean? So I'm hoping, 1, Cameroon can do well competitively, and 2, they can actually make lots of revenue off it. Television, gets, merchandising, whatever it is. I'm hoping they can make money off it. As the tournament goes on, we need to give our viewers numbers about the economics of this tournament, and hopefully we can justify its presence and continue for it to continue making sense. Because where there's no money right now in football or in sport, you're basically losing. You're losing out.
Obviously, the pandemic has had its own play in this. There will be a couple of expectations from the Cameroonian authorities for the fans who are arriving in the country, from vaccination cards to having a negative test as well, which of course means some fans will not travel, understandably.
Including a Ugandan referee. Who refused to take the vaccine.
Just to supplement on Cameroon.
But I want to talk about Ethiopia and Cape Verde as well. And the reason I'm talking about those two, they are not the outright favorites. But we always have that dark horse in every tournament that makes it to the quarterfinals, makes it to the semi-finals, and surprises everyone. Could it be one of those two?
I think Ethiopia and Cape Verde bring in the flair. These are the teams that are known for the flair. They may not win the game, but they'll entertain you. Cape Verde have showed it. Ethiopia, we all know what they can do. But I think they are the joy riders of the group. Of course, Cape Verde is a little bit stronger. Burkina Faso, for me, is the team that actually will put up a strong fight. We all know we faced them in our group. But at the end of the day, it's going to be Cameroon. But I worry for them because of the pressure that comes with it. They've already talked about the hosts and all. Now, Cameroon is being used by the Cameroon government to actually try and foster unity. Remember the Anglophone and Francophone fight, and Limbe is hosting the games, some of the games. So the pressure is enormous on them. They've got to get out of the group. They've got to go as far as they can.
They've got to reach the semi-finals,
at least
a bare minimum.
The Cameroonians.
Cameroonians. So for me, that's it. If they can withhold the pressure, the good thing is they have someone at the top who has done it. He'll give them pep talks and all, but the pressure is enormous.
All right, there you go. Who do you think will make it out of this group then. The top two, you have Cameroon, Burkina Faso, Ethiopia, and Cape Verde. All kicks off on the 9th. That is for Group A. Let's quickly move on to Group B. I love all these groups because there's a feeling of real competition. You don't have the so-called small sides anymore in African football. What you have now is teams meeting in a neutral venue and battling for bragging rights. Let's quickly show you that Group 2 once again as we quickly rush through those groups. Do remember to join us on Twitter and tell us who you think are your 3 top favorites to win the AFCON in Cameroon. Here we go. The Lions of Teranga up against Zimbabwe. Then you have Guinea up against Malawi.
Wouldn't you call Senegal the Belgium of Africa?
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Golden generation.
Brilliant side.
Never win.
Deputized by Ivory Coast.
I think there was a time when the Cote d'Ivoire had what Belgium has now, and they didn't win.
They didn't win. But eventually won.
Drogba and the Yaya Toure you've been talking about, and Kolo and all those guys.
Yeah, now when you see the Senegalese side, they got to the final in the last edition. So that should be a step forward. When you have Sadio Mane playing the football he is, and then Kalidou Koulibaly over the past few years, surely you're thinking Senegal, the minimum is another final.
Yeah, they have Mendy in goal.
They have Mendy in goal. He's improved tremendously. A few years ago, he was only 3rd choice for this Senegalese team. They have the most vocal...
He's the best goalkeeper in Africa.
They have a Pan-Africanist coach now. At least he says not just a coach. I think he's a politician who represents African interests when he speaks. Now, Senegal have to go out on the pitch and do it. I think even on the pitch, when I thought they were very good in the last tournament, even if they didn't win, the one when they lost to Algeria, they just one more little step that they have to take. I don't know how big that step is normally, because Marquis is a team, for example, that has not won since 1992.
No.
Senegal, they've not been in a situation like that until 2019. So now they need to get themselves back into that final. Because anything less will feel like a failure.
It's going to be interesting.
We are one of their victims, by the way. Sadio Mane scored against Onyango in this tournament.
The feeling is, and this is from most African soccer analysts, Mali and Guinea are the 2 teams that actually could be the real dark horses. And dark horses not because of their history, but in terms of the performances they have had to the Africa Cup of Nations. So as Mali also prepares for their own game against Guinea prepares for their game against Malawi, you've got to give Guinea favorites hot seat, you think, or?
Malawi, of course, Ugandans will remember. It was one of the reasons that actually nailed.
Did you say Malawi or Mali?
Malawi.
Malawi. Okay.
Malawi. Malawi. So the Cranes lost to Malawi away that final match that had many anecdotes. They've got to be that team, at least in the group, that everyone will be looking to pick a point at least if they are to progress. Zimbabwe will give you a performance of. They can even pull off a 2-2 draw. If you remember Gabon, they actually faced off Senegal and Zimbabwe. So Zimbabwe is one of those, they will not win the game, but they'll give you some entertainment. And then they'll score the goals. So at the end of the day, it's got to be Senegal. But I've got to go back to Senegal and Aliou Cissé. Aliou Cissé is now 6 years in the job. Making the final and, losing the last edition, right now, anything beyond the title.
And is the only ISO certified driving school in Uganda with over 40 branches countrywide. Come to our head office located in Bugolobi, Millennium Building, and choose a corporate course to suit your need. Merry Christmas from Prestige Driving School.
Prestige Driving School. Affordable, professional, and safe.
Welcome back. You're still watching the Press Box. Thank you very much for joining us. The hashtag is NTV Press Box. We have 2 interesting polls going on online. One of those is, do you remember the star? We've picked a superstar in world football and shown you his pictures when he was just a kid. And the clue is that he's played both either in North or Southern America, but currently does play in Germany. Can you guess the star? It is on our Twitter handle, that is at NTV Press Box. And also, we're asking you who your 3 favorite African countries are to win the 2022 Africa Cup of Nations, which, by the way, kicks off on the 9th of January in Cameroon. Big hitters are at the biggest stage, and African football is making sure everyone enjoys what the Black Continent can offer. Let's quickly move on to Group C then, because we've just talked about Group A and Group C, and all you have A and B, and all you have to do is tell us which 2 of the 4 teams in each of those groups you think will be making it to the next round. Let's now quickly look at Group C. Guys, as we look at Group C, again, the general feeling at the AFCON this year is that anyone can come through and do well. This is Group A. I think we should quickly move on to Group C. This is Cameroon, Burkina Faso once again.
Yeah, that's where the Moroccans are. And the two biggest teams in that group play on the opening day.
Yeah.
That's Morocco and Ghana. Morocco, perennial underachievers.
Yeah.
I think when you look at the kind of talent they've had. But also, they go into another tournament where the biggest story may not even be on the pitch.
Yeah.
Because they have a coach in Vahid Halilhodzic, who has spent the past few years in a fight with Hakim Ziyech.
Yeah.
And that's why Ziyech is not coming to the tournament.
Yeah.
Like he missed the last one.
Yeah.
And the Moroccan FA has given him all the power, Halilhodzic, to do what he wants with the team. So they come into a tournament where their best player, for me, is Ashraf Hakimi, the right back who plays at Paris Saint-Germain.
Yeah.
And I would not love a situation where a team is trying to win a tournament like Morocco, and their best player in groups is a defender.
Yeah.
You don't want that. But when you look at what kind of competition are they facing, if you talk about perennial underachievers, go to look at Ghana. The last one in the tournament in 1980, 82, rather. They've not been at that level. They still depend on their Ayub brothers, who have not really covered themselves in glory in the Ghanaian jersey over the past few years. Then there is Comoros, and then there is Gabon. There will be a lot of cameras on Gabon. Andrew, you don't want to be. You don't want to be Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang.
Actually, for me, that's actually the fixture. Comoros and Gabon.
Yeah.
That game comes at the right time. If anyone needs a game of football, to get back to life, it's Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, because he has no home now, and the home is Gabon, and AFCON couldn't have come better. It's a tournament for him to actually get himself back into favor, especially of other teams. And of course, Comoros.
Gunomudala for Aubameyang. It's like a market. He needs to find a
This
team.
is his tournament to actually come through and live again. And then you have Comoros there. Comoros, by the way, this is their debut tournament. And Uganda, we've faced Comoros several times. And even when we've qualified, we've beaten Comoros. So it's huge for them. And this is a tournament for them to have fun. Of course, no one expects them to go past that group stage. But it's that first fixture that actually could produce a winner. And Gabon is that one that could come in and spoil.
Mark, we talk about the Belgians of Africa, teams that are so good but just haven't achieved much. Morocco and Ghana seems to be the perfect fixture then.
Yes, absolutely. Because when we talk about underachieving Senegal and underachieving Ivory Coast, Morocco fall in the same category. They've really fluttered to deceive. The rest of North Africa has been winning this tournament. They've won this tournament. Egypt 7 times, I mean. And then, of course,
Algeria, the last one.
Algeria, the last one. Tunisia have won it before as well. These guys, they've really fluttered to deceive, and they've had some superstars along the way over the years. And they've even done very well at World Cups when they've been underperforming at Nations Cups. That's amazing. But there's an attitude thing as well. There were times when you felt like Morocco didn't think they belonged where Africa is concerned. And then once or twice, I think they even managed to say it. These are guys I think would rather be playing
in the Euros,
the Euros or the Middle Eastern one,
Arab Cup.
Arab Cup rather than AFCON. But they've got good players. They've got good players across. I mean, in the Iberian Peninsula as well as in France, and they've got budgets. When we were laughing at President Doumbia and his issues with Guinea saying refund my money if you don't win the tournament, he has got to put that in perspective. Is he spending as much as some of the other nations? Does he think he spent the most money so he can demand the trophy? Because it doesn't work that way.
Because Morocco actually spend the most money on
they
their
do.
football. The amount of money when we're all crying here about Penicho, I think Moroccans are thinking this is hotel fee for our coach.
They spend so much money that they spend some on African Federation.
Oh, that's crazy. So there you go. There's Morocco, there's Ghana in there. The bigger question is, are those the two teams definitely going to make it to the next round, or are you giving a certain Comoros a huge chance in there, and of course Gabon as well?
Ghana's qualification actually gives Comoros, Gabon a little peak because they struggled through that.
They struggled through that. Tell us, the hashtag is NTV Pressbox. Let's quickly move on then and talk about the Super Eagles of Nigeria. I grew up watching the Super Eagles of Nigeria. I don't know
Most Ugandans, I think, have supported our generation. Supported Nigeria.
Because in 94,
going to school, when people use that shoe polish to put stuff on their jerseys.
England, so I don't understand it, but go on.
I know you had a Peter Rufai somewhere on the shirt.
I started abroad.
Many Ugandan kids I know had that on their jerseys.
I had Victor Ekpeba on mine.
But everyone had one of them.
The guys of your generation, there's big many Nigerian supporters. From our generation, some, but not everybody.
There's more Cameroon in your generation.
I was where there wasn't Uganda, I would support Ghana. Back in the day, and then of course Nigeria went and even what happened to us in '93. It was such that I couldn't support them. But other guys, of course, continue to fall in love with the Super Leaguers. But for me, I mean, Adam Semgabi missed penalty. We missed AFCON. These guys go ahead and even win it. The 94 version, where we should have been instead of them and things like that. But
that game,
but this is a huge game, this is between two nations who won. Africa's overachievers. This guy, the Egyptians have won it 7 times, and you shudder to think that it actually could have been and should have been more. When they were hosting last year, they were beaten by South Africa. It was the shock of the tournament.
And that goal by Loch still rings again. The breakaway from center line when the Egyptians were pressing. Then it runs around, just steals it.
When you thought that Salah might do something, now those guys could have more than 7. It's shocking to even think that it's possible that they could have had more than 7, but they could have. Nigeria, underachievers. That win in '94. And the one in 1980, like I said, when they were hosts, and then of course then they won recently. Was it 2013?
The one that Stephen Keshi.
2013.
But you know they're going to tournament, and you know Andrew cited it when you mentioned Emmanuel Dennis. They're also missing Victor Osimhen, the Napoli striker, who is their lead man. Now, while they have a lot of talent up front, and I've seen, I think they're replacing him with Victor Onyekoro. Once linked to Arsenal from Anderlecht. I think these days plays in Olympiacos. I don't see enough on that front line for Nigeria to feel as confident as they would have if Victor Osimhen was.
But the good thing about it is that it's not the stereotypical Nigerian names that they were running off people's tongues. Many people and a lot of neutral Africa, especially Sub-Saharan Africa, like you said, Uganda, so many people follow them. Because there's so many other ways they represent Black Africa, which we won't go into. So they guys will not be seeing their household names. So new names will be rolling off their tongues rather than the ones
which
that
could be good.
It's time for Iheanacho to come through.
It would be a good thing. Having said that, it's a comment, a little comment.
And Mark, when you mentioned that new names will be rolling off their tongues, Stephen Keshi did that. You remember the team he won with? Not many of us could cite so many of the names.
2013.
And the guy who scored the winning goal, do you even know where he is? Even remember the name? Sandemba. Everyone is forgotten him after that. Maybe that works in Nigeria. Because they've come in tournaments with a coach and Kanu and failed. Now, without those names.
But the same good guys, we must give some credit to Sudan and Guinea-Bissau. Not the biggest names in African football, but Sudan has a good history. I mean, when you look at the area where Sudan actually is located, they're one of the more talented players in this Eastern Central African side. Against Guinea-Bissau, not sure what that result would look like, but can any of those two teams disturb the peace between the Nigerians and the Egyptians?
I don't think they will. I'll be surprised if they did. But Sudan are former winners. When you talk about good history, they have actually won this tournament once.
And Sudan, also the reason South Africa are not there. So that too. But also we've seen in the last couple of years, some teams that have come in and just interrupted Nigeria. You've seen it, I mean, in Niger winning. Of course, they finally qualified, but they have the ability to actually, blink and another team come in. But at the end of the day, I think they're too big. They sacked Raw. The coach. So they have a new coach in there. So we wait to see
a Nigerian legend.
We wait to see if he can actually withstand it. I mean, he's a Nigerian legend, but you also have
part of the
another coach,
team.
A fresh, not fresh, but new coach, Carlos Queiroz, Egypt. So this is his first major tournament.
It's going to be interesting.
Egypt are good at throwing away.
All right, guys, let's quickly let's keep it moving, guys. Send us those thoughts, NTV press box. Which two of those four will make it to the next round? But let's quickly move on to the next group now, which is Group E: Algeria, Sierra Leone, Equatorial Guinea, and a certain Cote d'Ivoire. I'll start with you, Mwangusha, for this one. Cote d'Ivoire and Algeria, definitely the favorites.
I actually think on paper, Ivory Coast cut it as favorites, but in actual sense, they are a spent force. They've actually lost that aura of, you know, the Belgium of Africa. That fear has gone. Now, yes, they have some names in there.
But Sebastian Haller,
Sebastian Haller
is scored recently in the league, and then who's the third? They have about 3 big.
But if Haller is, I didn't know Haller was coming to.
He's going to play. He's playing for them.
No, that's a big physical specimen. That was going to be one of the nightmares for defenders on the African continent.
And he's doing well at Ajax, eh?
He's doing very well at Ajax.
He scored 22 in 24 games this season.
So I didn't think West Ham gave him time and the benefit of doubt. I thought they mishandled that. I know David Moyes has done very well with everything, but I thought he mishandled Sebastian Haller. I thought Haller had the ability to cause some havoc in those Premiership defenses. And he's gone to Ajax, a team that plays technical football, and he's brought his physicality there, and he's doing great stats.
I don't like when you say technical football. The next one should be tactical.
No, not in that sense. But also, okay, but well, they're a team that thrives on total
passing and movement.
Passing and movement. And a guy of that size and that physicality fits in there and does the things he's doing. I think it will cause a few problems for defenders in Africa.
All right, but just on Algeria, they even, apart from defending the title, they have other quite a little bit of stats to make clear. Italy, they hold the 37-match unbeaten run internationally.
Which is a record.
Which is a record.
The Italians.
Yeah, the Italians, and they made it at the Euros. And then you have Algeria, who are on 33. Now on the 33, they've had Senegal in there, they've had Colombia, they've had Mexico, they've had literally they've beaten about everyone.
I know they come to the tournament with the same team that won the tournament in 2019.
So they
could actually walk out with the same 11 that played the final because all of them are still part of the setup.
If they make the quotas,
that continuity is rare in Africa. It's amazing.
That's your thoughts then. That group 2 has
Side Rama. The West Ham, bringing that form and that I mean, you know, the kind of bias.
He's an artist.
He represents what Algeria are.
That group has Sierra Leone and Equatorial Guinea as well. So send us your thoughts. Which 2 nations? Everyone thinks definitely the 2 big hitters will be Ivory Coast or Cote d'Ivoire, and of course Algeria. Let's keep it moving, guys. Let's keep it moving. Moving quickly to the next group, just to show you what the action is going to look like. I love this group, not because there aren't 2 clear favorites in Tunisia and Mali, but I'm really interested to see how Mauritania and Gambia are going to approach the Africa Cup of Nations. And Mark, just before I come to you, let me start off with Isma. At the Olympics, Mark was saying this is where the dreams are made. This is where stars who no one knows come and shine and get. Mauritania and Gambia are going into this tournament with the same Olympic mentality.
Nothing to lose. Over the past few years, I've followed a lot of the Gambian politics. They've had elections, and someone who had been president for 22 years, and then the guy they put in the seat had promised to rule for 1 term, and he's changed his mind and stood for another election and everything. I hope the Gambians stand for more games than just 3 of them in the tournament. The thing is that they're unknown quantities. So I don't think when Tunisia and Mali are preparing for games against Gambia and Mauritania, go out and draw and bring all those X's and O's on a board. They just want to play their game. So maybe that gives them a chance. Sometimes you get hit by a punch you don't notice, and that's what Gambia and Mauritania can deliver. There's not even much. I've seen, I think one of their big strikers is Adama Barrow. He plays in Italy in the Serie A. Been doing very well, scores goals, I think, for Sampdoria under Sinisa Mihailovic. He's the guy, Sinisa Mihailovic has since moved on to Bologna, but he's still at the player still at Sampdoria. He's the guy. Beyond that, I cannot even mention any others. But they get that guy the ball. You need to watch him. The pace and the trickery. He's able to take on those big Italian defenders and walk through them like he's walking through a vineyard and hit the ball with a kind of power.
I think let's look at all those groups again. All the groups, so we can just have you get a full feel. That is what the AFCON looks like.
Who will win it?
And maybe for Gambia, a little bit of an interesting start. They're the only side from West Africa that are making their debut.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Every West African has been to the AFCON. There you go, East Africa. So 3 teams, guys, as we keep looking at those groups, I'm going to start with Andrew Mwangusha. Please, I don't need an explanation because we have run out of time. Just 3 teams you think are your favorites to win the AFCON out of all these groups.
Egypt, Algeria, Senegal.
Well done. Mark, you must follow suit.
I think it's just Xeroxed my thing. I don't know, did he see my notes somewhere or what? Because that's exactly what I intended to say.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so it's
Egypt?
Egypt, Algeria, and Senegal.
Okay.
Egypt, Algeria, Senegal. But I should say
Algeria last. Really, guys? The whole panel is going for the same 3 names?
He's because Mwangusha was looking at my notes.
Okay. So there you go. Send us your thoughts. NTV Press Box is the hashtag online.
You know the African country that I feel sorry for.
You know when I'm talking, you don't interrupt me.
Okay, sir.
You were hosting the show, now I'm back. So give me a second. NTV Press Box is the hashtag we are using tonight. Apologies, boss. And what we shall do now is to quickly have some of that reaction probably read our way by Andrew Mwangusha. But just before we read that reaction, because we have huge guests that are coming on the show tonight, let me remind you that Manchester United has been beaten 1-0 by Wolves, and I say that with a very heavy heart. Mark,
are you tweeting already? No,
no, I'm not tweeting. I asked the Almighty for power to present the show tonight if United loses, and I'm doing well as it stands.
Now, let me tell you, when you talk Wolves, and the guy I wanted, the guy who reminds me of what I wanted to say about Mali was not even playing, at least when I watched the first half and the first 60 minutes. Adama Traore was not on. I don't know if he was available for the
He's actually chosen to play for Spain.
For Spain, yeah.
Sadly.
That's what I was going to say. That one of the countries that I feel sadly for in Africa is Mali.
Yeah.
The number of kids with Malian roots that have chosen to be French is amazing. Okay, we understand the history of West Africa and France, and we understand how, because these are the kids I'm talking about are 3rd, 4th generation, so they've probably not even been to Bamako. So, I mean, I wouldn't really blame them too much, but if there's an African country that has lost out on potential talent from guys with roots in its country,
it's Mali.
I don't think anyone compares with Mali.
Yeah. Mwangusha, let's please have some few tweets. Yes. Because just before Mwangusha reads those tweets, we have a new segment as well for you this year, and it's called Mark's Tales. What Mark is going to be doing on every single episode is to take us back to history and tell us a story he finds very interesting. So you need to stick around for that because it's coming up very, very shortly. But let's have some of that reaction first.
The very first reaction is from a guy called Andrew Kawooya 2 hours ago, who said a prayer, Lord, give me the strength to do NTV Press Box tonight if Man United doesn't beat Wolves. I think you're doing well. Okay. And then the other one on the poll, actually. The poll of Remember a Star Clue played in America, blah, blah, blah. That beautiful, handsome man. You have Angel says this is Alphonso Davies, plays for Bayern. You have Charity Mario says the boy looks like Bayern left back, Alphonso Davies, Laban, Alphonso. So there are so many Alphonso Davises that I cannot finish. Okay. So we'll leave it at that. And then we have Edwin Navas who says, I don't imagine missing this crew whale at school. Oh, this is a school kid. Max Halley was my best. Oh, school should allow us to watch Press Box whale at school. Yes, and then we have Mwesugwa Bruce who says the indomitable Lions will be difficult to defeat. Senegal and Egypt. Then you have Suso Simongu says Alphonso Davies, if guys don't watch NTV Press Box this year, I don't know what they'll be watching. And then you have Jasper Solo says I'm going for Algeria, Senegal, Tunisia, and then Vita C says VAR checking the goal. Okay, have you told me to stop? We can proceed. Mugenya Sad says Maxali. Klopp sarcastically corrected a journalist who had noted in question that there was no intention. International football till March, forgetting AFCON. This little tournament in Africa. Okay, it's talking about the mismatch in communication there. Yeah, okay. And then you have Hesketh. Hesketh says my 3 teams likely to win AFCON. In Cameroon, Egypt, Senegal, and Morocco. And then you have Luanga Faizo who says, you guys don't pretend not to be seeing that Man United has lost to Wolves. because you guys all support Man United, but the team nafunyo.
Okay, there you go. First of all, guys, this is an English show, please. Omuligwe Mizanyo will be here. If you're going to attack us right. That's what we're saying. But there was one more reaction before I go to
I'll take Andrew's job. Aya Lily comes here and says, NTV Press Box. One of my favorite debates in 2021 was between Nyakana and Muhanji. Yes. I was on standby the entire time, waiting for the live match. And there was also another one while he had Segona for supper.
Nyakana and Muhanji, how could we forget?
Yeah. We're proud you guys are still watching the Press Box. The hashtag, to remind you, is NTV Press Box. We are on air every Monday at 10 p.m. We have the biggest panel in town, and we are proudly powered by Guinness. Mark, I love this new segment. I really, really love it because, first of all, you have really talked history on the Press Box for so long, and folks out there love your history because people either didn't watch these games or, I mean, we didn't have archives, but now we've started Mark's Tales. I think before we jump into your tale, which is going to be the whole season now, what do you expect to achieve from this? What do you think the Press Box should achieve from Mark's Tales this season?
Well, one of the things is, like I said, the current generation of sports fans have been unfortunate in that they didn't see some of the things that went on in the past. In the Ugandan case, those things are not even properly captured on video, and it's very difficult. But in the international, because I'll be doing international and Ugandan. So in the international scene, thankfully, those things are captured. But one of the things that I've found with the young generation of sports fans is that they've been fed with way too much information. They have way too much live action. By way of television and the internet and the smartphone they carry and everything, that it's very difficult for them to step back and look at the past and put it into perspective and see where the stuff they're enjoying now came from.
Exactly.
It's very difficult to make a player understand that a person of the talent of Diego Maradona could leave football a broke man when people like Jesse Lingard, who don't even start football games,
are billionaires.
You know, that kind of thing. So I mean, to put all these things in perspective and to educate some people, but also to reawaken the memories, the nostalgia in some of the guys who were there back then. And largely to also pay tribute to long forgotten people.
What is your first tale 2022?
On this one, let's be honest, it was chosen for me by you. Can we tell?
You were not supposed to say.
Okay, now I'm sorry, I've given you away because ideally, I'll be picking the ones that I talk about. But it will be very difficult for me because I have this whole rich history of things that I remember so well. Others which I need tickling to remember, and so I'll be relying on all of you guys to help me pick which one for which year, for which weekend, for which Monday. But I have so many, and but they're all there. And you want to share these things. Why would we keep them to ourselves? But hopefully they can inspire people and also, like I said, remind others of where we come from. The one that we want to talk about today is Patrick Kawooya, because he's one of the biggest figures in Ugandan football history of all time. He ranks up there as one of the biggest figures in Uganda football for all time. The reason that we talk about him, as we discussed, was that he died on the 31st of December in 1995, which is 27 years ago, just a few days ago, 27 years. So, and his memory supposed to live on. The man you see there. Now, Patrick Kawooya was a colossus. He was a giant. This guy is. There were so many times when there was a time when he was Ugandan football in a sense. His story starts way back. He was an Express fan, and he was part of Express. As way back as 1973. 73 there. He was. This is a time when Ugandans used to disappear during the early and late phase of Idi Amin's regime and all. When Jolly Jochiwanuka, the founder of Express, disappeared and things like that. Patrick Kawooya was one of those guys that came in. He was voted as treasurer of Express that far back in '73, and he represented the strength of a club that was Mukwano Gwabanja and the club of the people under the circumstances that Amin's regime presented. If you understand, they would go on to win the league title in '75 and '76, and then they would be banned in '77. So when they get banned, people start disappearing. Others and things were happening. When they resurfaced, when Kawooya resurfaced and the guys resurfaced, they resurfaced in Nachivo Boys. 79. Express was also at the same time, I think, then allowed to come back. So Kawooya. But by this time he had gone into Nachivo Boys, and guys had elected him like as a chairman to start. They had wanted him to be patron, but they said no, I'll be chairman and run this thing. But Express wanted him back, and he. But he had come in a big way. He was one of the more successful businessmen of the time. Abasubu Zavali, I mean the guys who were allowed to bring in things and all. And he was making money, but he was young. The 73 side I was talking about, he was only 23 at the time when he was Express treasurer and all, being trusted with money at that age, because he had always been an entrepreneur. So this guy, Express want him back. He says no, let's have two clubs. The Express guys disagree, so these guys walk their own ways, and the rivalry then was born. But Kawooya was elected that. So, but he had good money. He was making money, and he had mobilization skills to bring in fellow rich people and all. That's when he brought in the Guy Kaumas and all, and attracted also young people. About Sebuliba, young lawyer, and the guys who really started the villa. So it's Nachivo Boys in '79 gets into the top flight. '81, then he's really elected properly as the chairman. Now proper election. And then he decides that he suggests that they change the name from Nachivo Boys to Nachivo Villa, and then to a Sports Club Villa. So a new giant is born, and this guy, he created a whole culture of how Ugandan football would run from then. It was the strong man's game, of the person investing money and bringing together fellow rich people to the table, investing money and all. That villa, which was born under those circumstances, was one in which, I mean, Kawooya bought the newest jerseys. These guys had names on the backs of their shirts.
Imagine.
As way back as early 80s. I'm talking 82. They'd go on to win their first title in 82. And Kawooya had started the culture that would go on to dominate Ugandan football sometime. You get Jamil Kasirye, Jimmy Chirunda out of KCC. You go and get Paul Hasule out of Mbale Heroes. You go get Dan Lutalo and Fred Serada out of UCB. Dan Lutalo is Fred Moses' older brother. Guys, so you go get these guys. So you assemble that kind of team. You're talking about Vulia coming out of Lufula. I mean, the Mokini coming out of those things. Assemble that kind of team, win the league title unbeaten in '82. This is largely a new club. So it will go into, because I have to summarize it. He goes on to win 8 titles, including several unbeatens and several doubles, and bosses the game with flamboyance as a rich man. By that time, by 89, they'd even elected him as chairman of the National Football Committee. It was a very powerful committee back then. This is why people need to know how Ugandan football was then. Very powerful committee, of which he was chairman. And then then we evolved into '91. If you remember what happened in '91, KCCA win the title, which didn't end. The controversial title, which KCCA win and all, as KCC back then. And Villa Paul Hasule gets banned, Villa players gets pulled out of the national team. We miss out on Senegal '92 and things like that. And Kawooya and Villa guys decide that, he decides to contest for the FIFA presidency. He lost to John Baptiste Semanaway in '92. But '92, by then, I mean, this guy was powerful. I want to paint a picture of a very powerful sportsman, a very powerful, rich guy in Uganda. You see the hill Lubawa? He was one of the first people to make that a residence when it was a bush. And because I grew up in Najanankomi, I'm telling you, now when you look at Lubawa and all the rich neighborhood Lubawa is, and all the rich houses and all, Kawooya was arguably the first guy there. And then he had all the Villa players, and he was resident either in Najanankomi, either at the mosque or down there near the Seventh-day Adventist Church. The players, the guys who we grew up with in the same neighborhood. By '92, I was also at Villa Park. And I told you the story of why, I don't know, let me finish this one. And so, Kawooya was that powerful man. Olympic Motor Spares, a shop he had in Namasuma, was the sponsor of big league football on Ugandan football on Ugandan screen. What is now the English Premier League? Before it was called that, it was big league football. And when we thought we were watching live matches, when we didn't, I remember watching Arsenal steal the title of Liverpool on the last day, 1989-90, and thinking that I was watching. I think I was watching a live game. It wasn't, but those guys. But anyway, this is what happened at the very end, the sad end. 1992, and I was at Villa Park at the time, myself as an apprentice, as a kid in my vacation. His health starts to deteriorate. Like we said, and by 93, there were big issues. First of all, he had, as you know, power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. He had become this guy who didn't listen. I don't know if the health issues were part of it as well. So he had all these Villa guys he never listened to, and he was making decisions and they didn't know. And yet he had brought so many rich guys to the table and other potential guys. So 93, Villa played that game against ASEC. I've talked about it on the show here before. Home leg 1-1. Moses Bassena steps off the bench to score that spectacular equalizer against ASEC, the one of the Traores and Joltier. He's a big, powerful squad, the Sekou Bambas. Villa failed to make the return leg of the Champions League, having reached 2 African finals in a row in 91 and 92. Guys were mad. Villa people were mad. His fellow rich guys with whom he sits and all, they didn't know what was going on. So they say, and this guy's health is deteriorating. So they say, guys, do you know what we do? We need to ask Kawooya to step aside. They ask him to step aside. He says no. So it was really a coup. They performed those elections and all. Kawooya doesn't show up. Franco Mugabe, who was one of the vice presidents, takes over. There were other guys there, the rich guys and all. Mandela was there. Tusha was there. These are guys who Kawooya used to disrespect. I won't say some of the things he used to attack them on, ethnic lines and all, so words and all. These are the guys who would eventually take over Villa and continue his legacy and build a powerful machine. So they squeeze him out basically. By 94, he was out, and he started Villa International. He breakaway. Some of the Villa guys who were so loyal to him and who were still scared of the power of that Kawooya went with him to Villa International. I remember I also got a license of Villa International against George Mukasa took me there in 95. But anyway, so Kawooya eventually died on 31st, 1995, when his health could not continue anymore.
Big legend. Is it just another piece of drama in Ugandan football? Well, joining us in studio is the CEO of KCCA Football Club, Anisha Muhozi, who is making her debut on the press box. Good evening, and as always, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year too.
Yes, joining us online for the battle is another lady. I love it when ladies take center stage in football, to be fair with you guys.
Is it a battle?
No, it's not a battle. It's just a good argument. Mercy.
Our friend Winnie Byanyima is watching.
Oh, is she? Nice. Mercy Manduru, who is of course the marketing, communications and PR boss from Arua, that is Onduparaka. Good evening. Looking beautiful as always in a fantastic kit. Welcome to the press box, Mercy.
Good evening and greetings from Arua. I'm very honored to be here, and Happy New Year to the press box and everybody following online and in their homes.
Fantastic. There you go. I want to start off with Andrew Mwangusha to set the scene for us. Just in case you're listening to this debate for the first time, Mwangusha, in a few minutes, tell us what happened and how do these two ladies end up on the press box tonight?
What happened is we had a game in Arua. KCCA, Onduparaka hosting, and of course Onduparaka quite passionate at home in terms of supporting their team. And the game went on quite smoothly. Apart from the goals were beautiful, but then the second goal for Onduparaka was the contentious one. Ronald Madanda, the referee, awarding a penalty when all that happened, if you watch the highlights, was a ball touching a KCCA player's body, and he pointed to the spot, which actually could have asked several, the watchers and the players. The penalty was taken, and that was it. And then, of course, KCCA did equalize, but in the in the dying minutes of the game, added time actually, KCCA awarded a penalty. Actually, they had equalized, but now KCCA awarded a penalty to win it because it was a 2-2 at this point. And, well, the way the ball came, I watched the game. Brian Ahebwa, tagged, and there was some shot shoving. He went to the ground. Replay showed, there was a touch on the player. And then Onduparaka players, led by the Rashid, decided, no, this is not a penalty. Rashid actually went to the assistant, quite hard a go at him and the players as well. Then the CEO, Saba as well, joined in, and then you had the fans come onto the pitch. And that was it. So the game did not end, but the whole point was at Onduparaka contesting the penalty. When they contested the penalty, the fans coming on, and the players actually making sure that the decision doesn't go that way. And then you had some people who were at the scene actually quoting the CEO Onduparaka Saba saying, no, we need to stay here. So the game didn't end, but in all this, you have Onduparaka and the fans coming into the stadium. Now remember, the home team is supposed to control the security and all that stuff. And then KCCA are just waiting for the game to proceed, whatever happens. And the game ends 2-2, and we wait for the reactions. Of course, there was some violent, acts, some cars vandalized and all. Allegations are Onduparaka fans vandalized the vehicles, some belonging to KCCA. And we all wait for the verdict from FUFA. So FUFA come through days later, and they send through the communication, which I have a bit. I'm not going to read the whole of it, but just to show you that's the competition's disciplinary panel. And then you have also the investigations chamber and FUFA referees disciplinary panel. So they talk about the said game, and then they have sanctions. Now the sanctions, before I even read, in short, they order the game to be replayed. Then they ban Rashid Okosha up to the end of the season. This season, they also ban the referee up to the end of the season, and then they call for the game to be replayed, and then they offer to contribute 2.5 million to Onduparaka and KCCA to allow the game to be, replayed, and in a neutral venue of the. Now they go ahead to say the league shall organize the venue and the date, and then communicate or direct. Now, in my understanding, that should be in consultation with the two clubs. But then I just want to quote this law here before I set you in. So they say sanctions for Onduparaka FC for breaching Article 31(10)(b), Article 31(10)(a), and Article 31(10)(f), and then they say of the competition's rules, and they say, whereas the competition rules and regulations provide for a deduction of 3 points and 3 goals for intense hooliganism and violence, Onduparaka is hereby sanctioned with an immediate deduction of 2 points and 2 goals from those already accumulated. A suspended 1 point and a suspended 1 goal deduction and a suspended closed stadium sanction. So they go ahead to state the law. Then they give, another verdict. So about the player ban and on the referee is quite understandable, but this one is where you have an issue. Of course, they did come through. She'll tell you a story, but the whole point here has been at how is FUFA applying the rule book.
Okay, let's start here. Mercy, I want to start with you because, of course, you were the hosting team. Obviously, you're not happy with those scenes. FUFA has come through with the sanctions. You're losing 2 points. You're losing 2 goals. 1 and 1 are suspended for the future. A couple of your officials now have been banned for the rest of the campaign. Just to kick off this debate, what do you make of this entire chaos? And do you think Onduparaka have been treated fairly by the federation?
Thank you very much. I think I will just focus on the core issues around what happened. Obviously, the decision hit hard for Onduparaka, given the circumstances under which this transpired. The fact that one of our core players, the assistant captain Rashid, won't play up to end of the season. Our CEO has been suspended for 90 days, but also we have lost 2 points and 2 goals, and of course we have a suspended 1 point and 1 goal, and then a suspended ban on home games. Ultimately, that in itself weighs heavy on the team. But also, most importantly, is the fact that from the judgment itself, we also see a punitive measure against officials, which is very rare in our football administration here in Uganda. I would say that consistently from the onset, the issue of unfair officiation has been at the core of our complaints as a club, and also for many teams as well. And so looking at this judgment from a holistic perspective, ultimately the judgment in itself goes to show that preserving the integrity of football is the responsibility of the officials, of the club, of the fans, and also of the opponent team and the federation as well. The fact that the federation passed judgment not just on Onduparaka Football Club, but each of the parties that carried an allegation from that game, for us is one of the reasons why we felt that this judgment, whereas it was heavy for us, it was fair from that perspective, that it was looking holistically at the issue, and that in making that judgment, FUFA did consider evidence that was tabled by both Onduparaka and KCCA, because from the summons that we received, KCCA itself also complained about bad officiation as Onduparaka Football Club, whereas we took responsibility for the actions of the fans for which we were punished. We did indicate clearly that these actions were triggered by continued allegations of bad officiation. This was the 5th consistent game that there were complaints about the way officiation was handled. And so that being the case, I believe ordering for a replay of this game where the 2 teams involved had an issue with the officiation, then does communicate FUFA's consideration of our grievances, and also the fact that they're giving us a chance to have a fair competition as clubs.
I appreciate your comment, and I'm sure we shall talk about the fans later, because I'm happy you take the blame that Onduparaka knows they should have controlled their fans better. Because it's not the first time it's happening, and I know how passionate the fans out in West Nile definitely are. But let me quickly come to Anisha now. You smile, but the document KCCA released, it has no smiles in it. A couple of hard words directed at the federation. I don't want to go back to everything, because I think what Mwangusha said was right. But let me start here. The game is going to be reorganized at a neutral venue, which for a neutral should be good. There's more action. But secondly, they're going to give you 2.5 million shillings to help you reorganize the game. What is the mood like in Lugogo this evening?
From a club point of view, I would like to say we were very disappointed with the ruling. Yeah. Quite disappointing, because for starters, the referees panel came out and clearly pointed out that the penalty that was awarded to Onduparaka was actually contentious. And the penalty that had been awarded to KCCA was actually rightful. But in any case, we know that there has been a vice of bad officiation, and I think almost every other team has complained. And maybe to just cut off a bit of slack, I want to commend them for this season. I think the CDP has tried to come out, and the referees panel, they have tried to come out to at least bring a little bit of action, as opposed to the past years. The past years would write and nothing would be done. Nothing would be done. So I want to commend them on that front, the CDP and the referees panel, for at least trying to come out and issue out these sanctions, issue out this ban. We have been a victim before, okay? When our fans at the Vipers game, and we were fined and our players were banned, and we didn't understand a first-time offender. That's the first time our players were coming out, and then they were banned. 4 of our starting 11 players, they were banned for, but we took it. We accepted that this is what it's going to take to clean the game. We didn't appeal because we let it be. But now, come here, Onduparaka, again, the rules are very clear, and for us, that is what is disheartening to KCCFC. At the start of the competition, they issued us rules, and the rules are very clear. do this, do this, do this. You don't do this, there is this. You don't do this, there is this. Now, you come to an incident in Onduparaka. The fans, it was very bad. If you watch the videos, everyone who watched the videos, very bad. I think, I'm told, I wasn't in the game then, back in the 90s, but those are things that were characteristic of the game in the 90s, okay? And this is what happens, and everyone out there just knows what is going to happen, that it's going to be 3 points, 3 goals, deducted from Onduparaka and given to, because the rules are very clear. If a game is abandoned because of hooliganism, that is what happens. Now, when the federation comes out and says, oh, we are deducting only 2 points, I don't want, me and Mercy, we have a relationship, and we, actually Onduparaka, we've even done a drive prior in the past, and this is not against Onduparaka, this is against the CDP. The CDP, we feel, has not been fair in passing judgment. Why? The rules are very clear. Why are they deviating from the rules? Why are they issuing out things that are going to set a very bad precedent? Because what is going to happen now, tomorrow, if the fans are not content with the referee's decision, they're just going to come on the field of play. And then the game will be abandoned, and then the following day, the FIFA will come, or the CDP will come and say, oh, let's have a replay, and on top of the replay, we are going to give both teams 2.5 million. It's just a wrong precedent, and that is why as KCCFC, we are coming out and saying this is wrong. If you do it, our press release, yes, put the word bastardizing the game, because
bastardizing the game.
Clearly, that is what it is going to be like. Everyone else is going to come. I mean, just recently, Arsenal and Man City, the referee didn't make a call on Arsenal, a very valid call. Did the fans run on the field of play? No, they did. And by the way, when you look at most of those stadiums, they don't even have perimeter walls like in Onduparaka or like the stadiums we have here. But the fans have understood that for this game to grow, you have to put your emotions in check. You can't do anything. And that's why, as KCCA, when our fans were, when they were fined money, and by the fans collected the money. We tasked them, they collected the money, they brought it, and we paid it to the federation. They understood. And that is why when they were to Onduparaka and the penalty that was contentious was awarded to Onduparaka, they didn't come on the field of play because they know the repercussions, okay? So this is where our pain is coming in. If the federation allows this ruling to pass, it's going to set a bad precedent, and you're going to see a repeat of this. How are you going to come and tell a team that, oh, now for you, you have done this, now for you we are going to dock you points? No. It's very simple. The rules are clear, and what we're asking the federation, simply apply the rules. That's what we're asking for. But you getting outside of the rules is very, very disheartening, and that is where KCCA we are.
I want to bring you in. She obviously is not happy. Mercy is, it's okay. She said, you know, we appreciate the federation with what they have come through, because she's losing 2 points, and then according to the rules, it's supposed to be 3. That is what Anisha is saying. But it's simply decisions in football, and there must be some level of consistency here.
Yeah, absolutely. And consistency has been a bone of contention across the world, actually, the world of football, under those circumstances, from refereeing decisions on the pitches or through VAR rooms down to panels, like the panels which decide punishments off the field and things like that. So it's a quite tough decision. This the organizers are boxed into corners where sometimes they feel like they need to make compromises for what they perceive as greater good. One of the things I like about the argument she makes and what Mercy is saying is that, which is, again, usually I put things into perspective because of having been around for a long time, is for people to actually keep referring to rules. And that tells you 2 things. 1, that they actually exist. 2, that they are clear. 3, that they've been accepted by everybody as what governs you, because there was a time, trust me, when that wasn't the case. So under those circumstances, there's progress, because it is a very, very difficult thing to put together a set of rules that is acceptable to all, and that everybody then says, the way Anisha insists, go back to the rules. Why are you deviating from the rules and things like that? So what I also need to understand, is perhaps something Andrew knows more than me under the circumstances, is why this judgment was worded the way it was. Has it been explained?
Okay.
Why? Because personally, I also would like to understand.
I want to come to Mwangusha shortly.
Why?
I want to first cross over to Arua again.
Yeah.
Mwangusha is going to give us the next statement. Mercy, I'm sure you're still tuning in and listening to us. You listened to what Mohozi's Anisha's point here is. Do you feel you got off light as Onduparaka, because the rules are clear? It's supposed to be 3 points, 3 goals, and not rearranging again.
Thank you very much, Andrew. I would like to state clearly that, of course, first of all, I cannot be a judge in my own case, and this judgment was already made, so I cannot assume to know the grounds that were considered in making this decision, who are recipients of this decision, but I can only also make reference to previous decisions. First, I want to make one thing clear.
Okay.
For the years that we've played in the Premier League, nothing like this has happened in Greenlight Stadium. There hasn't been a single incident of violence or of abandonment of a game because of hooliganism or any form of violence in Greenlight Stadium. This was the very first time, and the circumstances were very clear. Yes.
Okay.
And if anybody has any case cited in Greenlight Stadium when this happened, then they can't state that with facts. And I say that with facts because I have been at Onduparaka from its very beginning. But I just want to say this though. I know that, for example, having given a suspended sentence means that whereas FIFA is being punitive, they also want to give a chance for reforms for clubs. I know that recently Villa was docked a point from the accumulated points from a recent incident that happened, and the same has happened at Onduparaka as well. Losing 2 games and 2 goals is not a small thing. It's not in any way a soft sentence for any club, especially when you have accumulated these points. Now, in this case, it was not that Onduparaka Football Club failed to control its funds. If you look at the pictures that we've put out on social media and some of the evidence that has been tendered, you see clearly the fund stewards at the heart of ensuring that the officials at this game escaped unhurt, and that even KCCA and their bus was escorted out of the stadium with the presence of security, both at the front of the bus and at the back of the bus. We've put this video online for people to have a benefit of the doubt, given the claims that were flying left, right, and center.
Mercy, I understand what you're saying. I understand what you're saying, but the pictures we're running on screen don't suggest the same.
Yeah, sure, but the pictures that were running on screen are the pictures that KCCA put out. We put a video that you can also play on screen, and it will clearly show you the state in which the KCCA bus left the Greenlight Stadium. And you will let me know whether the back of that bus did not have that rear screen on. So that being the case, you know, we have to be honest in addressing issues in football. This is not really about the 2 clubs. There are issues that trigger reactions of fans at any given game. And this season, we've seen these patterns replaying. And I think we must not take our eyes away from the core of this issue. Whereas we can call for very serious punishment on teams, we must also understand that we're dealing with a very big vice in the league, especially how the league has been officiated in the recent past. And for that, I was very grateful that within the judgment, FIFA did not just penalize Onduparaka Football Club, but also the match officials as well. Because KCCA as a club was also raising a contention on the penalty that was awarded to Onduparaka in the first half. So it was not just Onduparaka raising the issue of unfair officiation, but also KCCA. That means that that game was not handled the way it should have been.
Okay. Obviously, we don't support... I'll come back to you, Mercy, just for a second. I want to come to Mwangusha now. We don't support fans with these kind of behaviors. And I think the folks down in West Africa, West Nile, love football. And I've been there, and you guys love your football. And you should continue supporting your club. But you must stay in the stands. It is as basic as that. Football is so emotional. But as I come to you, Mwangusha, we can discuss the fan violence. We can discuss the KCCA bus for 2-3 nights. But we've got to discuss the refereeing as well. that doesn't mean fans should jump onto the ground. But the refereeing decisions in the league, these kind of decisions are now becoming more consistent. We've discussed this so many times on the show. We've had Engineer Moses Magogo on the show talking about punishments, whether it's match fixing or whatever it is. It is a bit continuous, and now we are starting to see what the results of that could be on passionate fans out in the countryside.
By the way, on top of banning the referee until the end of the season, his case, the case for alleged vandalism has been also forwarded to, you know, more probes. Yes. But you talked of what was the rationale behind this. My friend, Humphrey Mandu, you know him, Fufa, and of course Dennis Lukambi, who was here as well. They've been sharing some of the, you know, trying to justify the decision. Humphrey Mandu here, of course, states a few, you know, subsections of the articles. Where they give the panel, you know, that leverage to actually, you know, sort situations. If it's this, what you do, for example, he quotes the articles, mandates the RDP on technical offences by matter officials, mandates FED on committee on matters that are not technical, and then you have Lukambi, who actually, he went on to write something quite long, but he cited the case of South Africa and Senegal, that replay. Remember when the referee, because there was alleged match fixing, which also, by the way, has been alleged in this case on this referee. So he quotes this game and says it was replayed, same as the Uganda Cup. Remember in Tungamo, which was also, you know, replayed. But
there's a whole history of them. There are many, very many.
So
if I go back to the 90s,
so he says all those. But when a game is by forfeiture, of course, it's the 3 points. But here they say, you know, they wanted it to end sportingly, and that's why they had to, you know, refocus and see is it 3 points and not 2. But in all this, there's one constant: only KCC has no case. In this.
So why are they replaying the game then?
There are players, there's Onduparaka, only KCC.
So why are they replaying the game?
Why are they replaying the game? That's the question they're actually asking. And I was chatting with your chairman. I think he told me you guys spent 15 million. Of course, I cannot confirm that.
That's what we spent.
And you've got a 2.5, so you can as well actually forgo the replay and use the 2.5.
That is not the whole point. The whole point is about setting a precedent. Okay, it's not about the replay. It's about the replay. Forgive me. It's about setting a precedent, because what happened, it was absolute hooliganism. It was bad. And by the way, just for clarity, Mercy mentioned that our bus was escorted. I just want to I didn't want to go into the bus issue because that's a minor issue. That's not what we want to discuss. It's a minor issue. But just to clarify, the security that we normally hire security when we are going to Onduparaka, Arua, we hire our own security because we know how, we called it passionate, how passionate the fans can be, okay? And yes, the video that they circulated, which was showing the bus driving out, the window had not broken. But if you look at it critically, it has a hole. The window had been hit, and then the bus was damaged on this other side, which the video does not show. When they were getting out and they went into those, the road is rough, the window came down. That is what happened. So, I mean, but not even to go into that, we filed the police case. The police in Arua, they have this matter. It is there because even the police car was damaged in the process. Their windscreen was shattered. So, but I don't want to focus onto the bus. That's a minor issue. The biggest issue in this is about the CDP setting a precedent. For us, that is our point. So tomorrow, how many bad officiations have we had? Even against Villa, the penalty that they gave Villa just recently when we were playing them was 50-50. You know, you could call it contentious. Against Bull, we've been having many of these. Against Bull at home, they got a penalty, still 50-50. Okay, we ended up winning the game at the end of the day. But did our fans jump and come to the field of play? And that is what we are trying to focus on.
But what has KCCA done over the months, over the seasons, in reference to these officiating issues?
We've been writing to the Federation.
No reply.
Back then in the past. Now they have started. And this is why I said I commended them, because this season, at least the CDP is active and the referees panel is active, okay? But now they are setting a very bad precedent for the game of football. If you are telling fans, because literally what their judgment is saying, When you are not happy with the referee's decision, jump on the field of play, the game will be abandoned, then we will have a replay done, and even money will be given to you.
Yeah.
And that is what we are querying, because the guidelines are very, very clear.
Yeah.
And this was when they say that the level of hooliganism, you know, the committee, yes, they have the mandate to see it. But I mean, who didn't see what happened in Arua? And who
Anisha,
did
we want to ask
condemn
you
it?
some other questions apart from this game about Mugurusi and everything. So let me allow this gentleman to wrap this one up, and then I'll also allow Mercy to wrap this one up. Then we can come to the final three questions as we move forward. Mark, you've listened to both ladies. First of all, I'm very excited, like I said at the beginning, that you have two ladies that are talking this much football at that level.
Yeah.
Because there's this talk of, which I find a bit ATC now, it's too old that women are not that much in football. But the fact that you guys are in leadership positions is fantastic. And I think this should be huge to all the ladies out there that want to support sport. Yeah. Come out and talk sport. Let's enjoy the game as it is.
It's amazing.
But try and wrap it up.
Yeah, it's amazing. I agree with you, Andrew. And when you listen to the ladies talk, clearly, they're not holding these positions, or they're not there for gender balance or aesthetics. Yeah. I mean, the details with which they describe what they've followed their clubs and everything. So they're on top of the game. It's a quite nice thing. But yeah, personally, the things they're talking about I've seen for a very long time, and the vices in our game. To that extent, have been many. When she talks about replays in the FA Cup and all, I just remembered that 1997 issue between Express and KCC, when KCC were looking for the double. They wrapped up the league and they were playing against us in the semi-finals, Express in the cup, and that game was abandoned and replayed, and Express won that and eventually won the cup. And but so there's been a precedent. These things have been happening for quite a bit. So the powers that be sometimes step outside of those rules just so they can keep sanity in the bigger picture. And now Andrew says that FIFA were justifying it because they actually have incorporated that in the rules, where they give those panels that they can make decisions to their discretion under those circumstances. That is something Anisha can contest and all. But I understand sometimes where they would be coming from. If
you're supporting the federation for breaking their own rules, man.
No, I'm not supporting them for breaking their rules. I just say that.
You understand where they could have.
In the bigger picture, sometimes they look at the bigger picture and say, you know what, we're going to do this. We have had a history of hooliganism. And it's outside of the rules. It's very difficult to go outside of the rules if you want to stamp it out. If one of the things, the languages these fans are going to speak is docking of points. If their clubs are docked points, sometimes when they get fined money, in her case, she says KCCA actually asked them to collect it. Well, they didn't even ask them, they collected the money and paid it. Other club funds are not going to do that and will not feel the pinch in their pockets. And they will come back and do the same thing. So when you dock them points, they understand that language more. Especially if it's league football, because the cup game is different. The example I just cited was a cup game. If it's league football, the federation have got to, and the guys that run the league have got to ensure that they try as much as possible to stay within that, because it's going to help them. The second bit is about security. Money has got to be spent on ensuring security at stadiums. My first reaction when Mike Basole, who works with her, put on the forum when the game was going on about the decision that the referee was taking too long to make, was that he shouldn't give that penalty. He should let that be, because I didn't think, I worried for his life. That was my reaction on a forum in which I was just behaving as a fan. Now
we are worried for his career.
Until there's such security situations at these games as to give referees and everybody else present the feeling of safety to allow them to do their job, it becomes a difficult thing. The third thing I'd like to mention is that while we have a history of this kind of violence across the edges, in the past it did not even involve the bigger vice which we have to find solutions for, and that is betting. Because some of the bad refereeing which is causing the bad refereeing, and some of the things that even footballers are getting involved in on the pitches, in play, that are bringing about some of these happenings, the results, things which fans don't understand and to which they react badly, are actually being manipulated.
Yeah.
And that is something we have not properly addressed.
It's a real concern.
It's the elephant in the room.
Yeah, let's
it's the elephant in the room, because we might
on.
look at the roles and Adisha Big and Happen and all this. We have got to go to where we get to a point where we can fight this vice.
Mangusha, you have something to say, because I want to cross over to Mercy and say good night to her, but you need to drop something in first.
Yeah, my take is, yes, I understand, for trying to, balance the boat, like you say, in the bigger picture. I would understand the replay issue if the game was abandoned because fans jumped over. But this started with the players. It's the players that stopped the game from proceeding, and then the fans joined in.
Yeah. It actually was the players.
The players who attacked the photo fish, and of course, the fans are right over, and then they had to jump in.
Yeah.
I would understand if it was just the fans, with the players, trying to control and all, but it's the players. Now, I don't see the bigger picture there. Just go to the rule book and do what it is. So that for me, that's it. Maybe, I don't know, you want the social media?
Yes, I want to... Guys, there are ideal situations, and then there's reality.
Yeah.
And these are things which people are scared of talking about and actually facing because of what the implications. I am not saying that people should go against rules, but I'm asking you, what does the club Onduparaka, what does it represent in Ugandan football, and what are you trying to promote about that kind of institution?
Okay,
these things come into play when people in places of decision are making them. I am not necessarily saying they are right, but you don't run away from those and turn your eye blind.
Let me cross over to Mercy.
Why that might happen.
Mark, let me cross over to Mercy, because I want to say good night to her, but I want to have a final comment from her. Then we can have that social media reaction coming through. Mercy, I hope you can still hear me.
Yes. Yes.
So here we go. I mean, we've understood the discussions, and we appreciate your time on the press box. But the biggest question now is, yes, the 2 points are going to bite. Yes, the 2 goals are going to bite. The suspensions are going to bite. But there is those suspended, the 1 point and the 1 goal. What is Onduparaka doing to make sure we are not back on the press box in the next few weeks with the same chaos in the stadium? Because it's not only going to paint the game more wrong, it's also going to have you guys even lose more points.
Ultimately, on our end as a club, but also from the fans committee that made a public statement, we did express our regret for the events that manifested, and our fans committee has been doing back-to-back sensitization to ensure that what happened does not happen again. But as I said, and I want to reiterate it again, that the issue of having the integrity of the game protected is the responsibility of all of us. It's a holistic approach from all of us, from the federation to us, to other clubs as well, for us to address key issues, especially issues around match fixing, issues around bad officiation, but also fans' behavior at games as well. It is not enough to heap this on just the fans, but we must holistically address it. And that, for me, is the message in all of this. It's not about how much time I spend blaming CDC or KCCA or any other parties that have raised issues about what transpired, but it's about every entity looking at the bigger picture and ensuring that we're playing our part to make sure that these events do not unfold again and will not manifest in future games. And that we'll do as a club. The fans committee is at the heart of it, but I'm also glad that FUFA as a federation is taking steps to get into the bottom of what has been going on with regards to officiation. I saw this evening the FUFA president sending out a call for a meeting with referees to address key issues which I know are emanating from complaints, not just from this game, but from also other clubs that are participating in the league. And I want to applaud them for that, for being responsive to some of the issues that we have filed and others that have come because of this situation that transpired in match day 13. And of course, again, to KCCA, just like we have done publicly and privately, so that we regret the incidents that transpired that day. and we have been partners on and off the pitch, and these are not situations that we expect to happen again, especially at Greenlight Stadium. And having this suspended sentence also helps us as a precautionary measure to our fans and to well-wishers of football, that we have to be careful how we manage our emotions at games and ensure that we also play our part in protecting the integrity of the game, and we all make football a fair competition for everybody. Thank you.
Anisha here says she's your very good friend. So your final message to her and KCCA?
That I'm very proud of her. I know the seat that she is on is one of leadership and administration, and just like myself at Onduparaka Football Club, nothing that has happened can stand in the way of the values that we uphold as individuals, but also the values we aspire to see in individual clubs. I'll continue to protect that relationship that we have, but most of this will be through our actions more than our words. So thank you so much, and thank you NTV Press Box for giving us an opportunity to speak to sports lovers all over the country, and thanks for a great sports show. Masi
Manduru, the marketing, communications and PR head at Onduparaka. Thank you very much, and have yourself a fantastic night. But do stick around, because we shall have some social media reaction coming through shortly. Andrew Mwangusha, those 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tweets before Anisha comes in with final.
Just to follow up on her and her, we have Sendiona Mukasa, who says the two ladies are very passionate about football. That's what I'm here for.
Okay.
Okay. And then we have Innocent Junior Robin. He says it is the Onduparaka FC officials are buying their innocence in this whole chaos, hindering, hiding behind the bad officiation. Yes, we all know that it's been bad and we condemn it, but that does not give you, your players, officials and fans the right to react the way they did. And then we have Amir Zaki, who says, so Onduparaka has been chopped 2 points and 2 goals. Why is the game being replayed? Someone help me. These are from the points they've already accumulated. True. And then we have Yenzel Wagamubez, who says the logic about the bus damages is that when KCCA reached somewhere in Nebi, or maybe in Kampala, the captain moved out together with the coach and led the team at stoning our team bus so that we get some beating.
That's sarcasm.
Okay, this is just
sarcasm. Yeah.
So we have Lamek Bukenyo says, NTV Press Box, isn't there room for appeal on that FIFA ruling? Fairness, justice needs to be seen, to be done. And then we have, there should be. And then we have Ivan Ojakolu says, the eggshells that FIFA walked on in that Onduparaka disciplinary decision. Legal certainty and predictability is important for the development of sport. Timothy Muchibi says, anyway, away from Man United, we are on KCCA, okay, there's Mhozi. Away from Man United, Anisha Mhozi is passionately saying all the right things. Derek Scott says, this KCCA administrator on NTV Press Box is calm and beautiful. I'm just a Vipers fan passing by.
Well done. You're welcome to KCCA, my friend. We've got to try and conclude this. Mwangusha, I had a couple of questions to ask you about some of your players, but I think let me just start here before Mwangusha comes in. This is a general question, and you could have been asked this by the Daily Monitor in their lifestyle pages. A woman at the top of the game, really, in so many ways, with stereotypes that come with it, with dealing with the pressure not just on the pitch but from the stands with the fans as well. How hard has this been, and how much are you enjoying it?
I think I will just sum it up in 2 words, passion and attitude. I think I got the passion for the game. When I came to the game, I was clueless about the game, but I had the drive within me that I need to go there and learn the game and be able to, you know, understand it and govern it, and here I am.
Do you have some family members who don't understand Echinti Choliko?
What does Diaby say?
But yeah, the other is attitude. I think just having a positive attitude when you say I can, I will, I think that sums it up for me. Yeah.
Mwangusha, please, your final few questions on some players and we wrap this one up.
Are you limiting me to the players?
We're running out of time, so I'll give you 2 questions.
Okay, the other one, okay, we'll still stick to the players. I just want to know, outside of KCCA, do you have a favorite player?
Outside of KCCA?
Yes.
The Uganda Premier League, you
mean? KK1. Let's go international.
International, yes, of course. Now that you've put me on the spot, but yeah, I'm a Man U fan, so...
It's a sad night.
It's a sad night.
That just confirms it, Anisha.
Yeah.
So who is the next player out of the KCC doors and into professional football? Who are you selling next? You're a selling club, aren't you?
We're a selling club, but right now the January window normally is not active. But even if it were, I wouldn't definitely disclose it here.
Okay. So you agree that when I say selling club?
Yeah, we do, because
you don't find that derogatory in any way?
No, I don't, because you know why?
Not to the local one.
The game here, the amount of money that is required to run it and the funding that we have, or whatever money, we need to get money from all sources. And I think the Federation has also been preaching that football has to make its own money. And player sales is one of the ways that you can make your own money. So yes, I don't find it in any way, I mean, I don't really see it as a problem, and fans just have to understand. I know that we've had issues with our fans understanding why do you sell a certain player, but also they need to understand that when a player wants to leave a club, it's very hard for you to contain them.
Kawooya, just two quick ones. One, not this, Anisha. Agaba Obre says you need to improve on your VIP. They paid 60,000 for the Express KCCA game, and they stood the whole match. So you'll get to that. And then the last time we talked before the show, you were waiting for a response from FUFA regarding Isma Mugulusi and Mawa.
Oscar Mawa.
Oscar Mawa. These are players you think are your players, but they are somewhere else, and you're contesting the manner in which they moved. Have you received that email from FUFA responding to your query?
Putting me on the spot. No, unfortunately, we haven't received communication from FUFA. They said they are reorganizing the committees to sit, but we are still waiting, and we will not relent in the fight for justice. Our players were taken over to other clubs, and yet we had obligations with them. And we're waiting for the player status committee or the FIFA disputes panel to sit and guide on a way forward. Because again, those are some of the things that we need to get out of the game. If you have guidelines towards how a player should move, we don't understand how a player can actually move outside of those guidelines. So we are waiting upon the Federation. They promised that they would get back to us, but unfortunately, there has been loss on the KCCA side. These were players we assumed we would use in this window, and we saw them unveiled by other clubs, and we wrote as we try. KCCA is one of the clubs that tries to follow the guidelines to the book. We try as much as possible. And many times we've complained to the Federation and said, but why is it that you're so hard on us? And they keep on saying, oh, you know, you're a model club, so as a model club, and we've accepted that. We say, fine, as a model club, we shall do the right things, because anyway, that is what we stand for. But it's again a bit disheartening when you do the right thing and then there is no response, because there is loss of money. Obviously, those were two players we thought we would use, and we've not been able to use them. So that meant we had to plug in the gaps and buy more players. But we will wait for the Federation to hear from them. And
have you set a date for the victory parade and the venue for the party?
Oh yeah, we are already planning. We're already planning because we know the 14th title is coming.
Oh wow, there you go. Anisha Mohozi, thank you very much for joining us today, CEO KCCA. It's really a pleasure for you to be here.
Thank you.
For us, really, not for you, for us to be, for you to have you here. And we do hope you guys have a good season. Please do join us next time. We invite you. We hope for success down in Lugogo, and of course those up in West Nile.
You hope? Did you say hope?
Yes.
And you said
when
we.
I say we, it's subjective.
You're speaking for all of us.
No, it's subjective.
It's speaking for all of us on a thing like that.
You're not happy.
You can't be speaking for all of us on something like that now.
But are you still a title contender?
But of course, until it is mathematically impossible, we are in it.
You're going boldly. We are in it.
Even United are in it.
All right, there you go, guys. We've got to wrap this one up tonight, but we shall wrap it up with predictions to end the show tonight. And Anisha will stay and make a prediction, and we shall hold her to that for next episode. We have the Africa Cup of Nations, which of course kicks off on the 9th. That should be Sunday. All eyes of the football world really will be on Cameroon, as I say, the biggest football party on this side of the continent officially kicks off. Burkina Faso will be up against the indomitable Lions of Cameroon, and then you have the Warriors of Ethiopia in action as well against the Cape Verde Islands. Where's Ismail? Ismail Dakaba needs to come and join us very shortly. Let me start off with you, Andrew Mwangusha. We quickly rush through this, guys. Cameroon, Burkina Faso.
2-1 Cameroon.
2-1 Cameroon.
2-0. 2-0.
2-0
now.
Anisha?
Same with like Mark, 2-0.
2-0.
Yeah.
Okay. Dakaba, please come in. Please come in. Cameroon, Burkina Faso, guys. As you know on this panel, I always get all the predictions right. Cameroon, Burkina Faso. Yeah, Cameroon. Cameroon will beat Burkina Faso. Cameroon, Burkina Faso.
I'm going Cameroon 3-1.
3-1 Cameroon. Then I start with you, Dakaba again. Ethiopia, Cape Verde.
Cape Verde 1-0.
Are you serious?
Cape Verde 1-0.
You're not serious, comrade. But let's quickly move on. Mwangusha?
Cape Verde 2-0.
What? Mark?
1-1 draw.
Okay, fair enough. Anisha?
It's so bad, but I think I'm going with Mark again. I think both
something
those,
is
KCCA expert.
That is an Ethiopian victory, guys.
Great minds. I'm just thinking I like it.
Ethiopia, of course.
That is an Ethiopian victory for me against the Cape Verde Islands. So watch out for that as well as we get you all the details that will be coming from the Africa Cup of Nations. And guys, just before we step out for the very first show of 2022, I should ask you what you're looking forward to this year, what the biggest headline should be for you guys. I think can pick a moment or two. I'll start with you, Mwangusha.
Of course, it would be interesting to watch Qatar host the World Cup after all the contentions, you know, that people have been fighting it since the Blatter days. So I'm looking forward to that World Cup and the Winter World Cup at that. So it's something I'm really looking forward to see how they handle it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mark?
There's so many, like I just said earlier, if you remember, 2022 is loaded. It's amazing. World Cup, Commonwealth Games, World Championships, things. Now all those things are there, so and they're a bit obvious, so I won't state them. There's some certain things I'm looking forward to outside of all those, and one of those is NBA basketball. Yeah. This year's championship. There's the reasons why I'm interested. Giannis and the Bucks, KD and the Nets, my Chicago Bulls, what's happening in the East. And then also, can Steph actually take this all the way? Because it might be an anticlimax if it does. And if LeBron wins this championship, what does it mean about the GOAT debate, considering how bad the Lakers look right now?
Okay.
So I'm looking forward to that. So I'm looking forward to that. The other one, this year, under all circumstances, somebody is going to surpass 20 Grand Slams in the world of tennis. And it's not going to be Roger Federer, unfortunately. So we've got 3 guys tied on 20. Only one of them is appearing on the Australian Open. Nadal is already swinging. He's ready to go. He's fitter than he's been. And Djokovic has not vaccinated and things, and there are question marks around whether he will play or not. And Federer is still not yet fit yet. But somebody is going to break that record, and it's going to mean many things. But also, does Serena quit? Or does she tie the 24 Grand Slam record? She's failed to win a slam for years now to equal the 24.
Big stories.
So we can claim she's the GOAT without being looked at as racist people who are just supporting a black woman. Or does she finally realize that she can't beat these girls anymore? And she says it's an end. Either way, I'm looking forward to that. One of those two things has to happen.
Okay. Anish, of course, for you, you're looking forward to the victory party, so we already know your answer.
No doubt.
Okay, let me pick mine. One, I'm really excited about Oregon because Joshua Cheptegei goes to the World Athletics Championships. I'm hoping it does the double. The gold in the 5 and 10K.
Wow.
That's going to be quite a story. Then, since Mark has stolen and Andrew and all the others, what about Verstappen versus Hamilton? Part 2!
Part 2!
It's
That's going to be crazy. That's going to be madness.
All right, there you go. There's the Commonwealth Games as well. So there's so much action coming up this year. Stick to the press box. We shall get you the updates. Let me end up by showing you that picture again of, do you remember the star? A young star. There you go. Played in America, currently plays in Germany. If you said Alphonso Davies, you're definitely right. Left back at Bayern Munich, a man who has been through a refugee camp, plays for the Canadian national side, and that is him when he was still a kid. Not so much has changed. If you look at his career,